Have you ever wondered how many strange, visionary, and quietly dangerous sci-fi movies from the 1960s vanished into the shadows without leaving a single echo behind? These films carried warnings that audiences never understood. They spoke of paranoia, forbidden experiments, and worlds held together by fragile illusions. Yet most of them slipped through history unseen. Today, we pull them back into the light. Prepare to rediscover the forgotten dreams that shaped the future long before the world was ready. Number 15. The First Men in the Moon, 1964. It debuted with a mixed reputation. Some viewers saw it as a bold adventure, while others dismissed it as old-fashioned in a decade racing toward modern spaceflight. Yet beneath its surface, the film hid a strange melancholy that few noticed. The story begins with explorers landing on the moon only to discover an ancient underground civilization waiting in the shadows. The adventure unfolds through a fractured timeline, creating a tone caught between optimism and dread. But behind the camera, there was tension. Rumors spread that the studio feared the film would look childish, just as the real space race intensified. There were whispered concerns that it might embarrass the studio if government agencies felt it portrayed space exploration as reckless. The effects team reportedly faced chaos fighting limited budgets and pressure to modernize imagery that was already locked in production. The film performed moderately, but never achieved the lasting fame of other sci-fi titles from its decade. Over time, it faded, disappearing from mainstream conversation. Only dedicated fans resurrected it years later, praising its imaginative world and eerie moon dwellers. Today, it stands as a reminder that early dreams of space were filled with wonder and fear. Its legacy whispers that forgotten warnings sometimes hide in the quietest stories of the past. Number 14. Voyage to the End of the Universe, 1963. This film began as a respected European curiosity, praised for its ambition but criticized for its slow pacing. Over the years, it drifted farther from public memory until almost no one could recall its name. The story follows astronauts traveling toward a distant star, only to confront the terrifying possibility that their journey will outlive their own civilization. Isolation weighs on every frame, building tension without needing grand spectacle. Controversy struck when certain scenes were accused of presenting space exploration as a doomed effort rather than heroic progress. During the height of Cold War anxiety, some officials reportedly disliked how the movie implied that humanity might collapse before reaching its destination. There were unconfirmed whispers that some broadcasters refused to air the film, fearing it could dampen national enthusiasm for space programs. Production itself strained under long shooting schedules and disagreements between writers and editors. Some sequences were recut multiple times, creating a fractured narrative that confused critics. Audiences were divided. Some admired its haunting message, while others walked away frustrated. As decades passed, the film slipped from circulation. Prints vanished. Discussions ended. Yet it resurfaced quietly through restored festival screenings, where cinephiles rediscovered its poetic tragedy. Modern viewers now see it as a cautionary meditation on ambition and destiny. Like many forgotten works, the film reminds us that time is both friend and enemy to truth. Its final echo asks whether humanity can outrun the shadow it casts on its own future. Number 13. The Projected Man, 1966. At its release, the film was labeled a daring low-budget experiment. Critics mocked its effects but praised its raw, unsettling energy. In truth, it told a chilling story years ahead of its time. A scientist creates a teleportation device, but the machine malfunctions, turning him into a disfigured being who can kill with a single touch. What begins as triumph spirals into tragedy as he loses control of his humanity. Controversy followed quickly. Some claimed the film portrayed scientific progress as monstrous. Others argued that it encouraged distrust toward emerging technologies. Studio executives worried about backlash from research communities who feared being portrayed as reckless visionaries. Whispers spread that certain scenes were toned down after internal concerns about disturbing imagery. Production troubles were constant. The crew worked under intense pressure, trying to stretch every resource. Special effects teams fought sleepless nights assembling practical illusions with minimal money. Actors described chaotic days when rewrites arrived moments before filming. When the movie premiered, audiences were unsure how to react. Some saw it as campy fun, while others felt genuine discomfort. Over time, it disappeared almost entirely from the public eye. Old television airings were rare. Home video releases vanished, yet film historians later revived its reputation, noting its thematic similarity to later classics, exploring identity and technological transformation. Its legacy warns that the pursuit of progress often hides an unseen cost, and forgotten stories sometimes predict the fears that shape generations. Number 12. The Power, 1968. This film began with a bold reputation. Critics admired its ambition, yet audiences struggled to understand its psychological complexity. Adapted from a novel exploring superhuman minds, it tells the story of a mysterious individual with terrifying mental abilities hidden within a scientific research group. As the protagonist investigates, colleagues fall victim to strange, unexplained forces. Reality bends, identities unravel. Suspicion becomes the true enemy. Censorship concerns soon emerged. Some reviewers claimed the film blurred the line between paranormal power and government surveillance. Others feared it hinted that invisible forces were manipulating society. During an era of political unrest, these ideas felt dangerous. There were rumors that the movie was quietly discouraged from wide broadcast because of scenes suggesting uncontrolled science and hidden authority. Behind the scenes, tension grew between the director and studio. The studio demanded a faster pace, while the filmmaker insisted on atmospheric suspense. Effects teams struggled with ambitious illusions that stretched the technology of the era. Some shots were nearly abandoned due to repeated technical failures. Its release generated mild curiosity, but fading interest doomed it to obscurity. For decades, it sat in the margins until modern viewers rediscovered its hypnotic dread. Today, it is praised for predicting the psychological sci-fi style that would later dominate the genre. It leaves a lingering question. Who holds power in a world built on secrets the eyes cannot see? Number 11. The Day of the Triffids, 1962. The film earned moderate success when it premiered, yet somehow it never reached the legendary status enjoyed by other sci-fi films of its era. Its story remains unforgettable. A mysterious cosmic event blinds most of humanity. In the chaos, a race of towering plants begins hunting the survivors. The world collapses into silence, broken only by rustling leaves and distant cries. Controversy surrounded its depiction of global catastrophe. Some critics accused it of exploiting public fear during a decade already burdened by nuclear anxiety. Others claimed the monster plant symbolized foreign threats, echoing social tensions that officials preferred audiences ignore. Rumors spread that some countries edited sequences that felt too bleak or politically uncomfortable. Production problems added layers of difficulty. As directors changed mid-filming, stylistic clashes became obvious. Certain scenes were shot twice due to disagreements about tone. Actors recalled confusion over shifting storylines and last-minute alterations. Despite the disorder, the movie made a strong initial impact before slowly fading from conversation as new sci-fi spectacles emerged. It later resurfaced through cult screenings and quiet restorations where new audiences appreciated its eerie atmosphere. Today, it stands as a stark reminder of how quickly civilization might fall when darkness replaces certainty. Its legacy invites viewers to imagine a world where the smallest overlooked detail becomes the spark that ends everything. Number 10. Unearthly Stranger, 1963. This haunting British sci-fi thriller earned a quiet reputation when it released. Some praised its eerie tone while others dismissed it as too strange and slow. Yet beneath its simple surface, the film hides one of the most unsettling visions of identity and infiltration from the decade. It tells the story of a scientist working on a secretive government project who begins to suspect that his wife might not be human. As he digs deeper, his world turns into a maze of paranoia and forbidden revelations. Controversy brewed around its release. Some viewers claimed the film suggested that anyone, especially loved ones, could be an agent of unseen powers. In a world already shaped by Cold War fear, these ideas felt too close to reality. Rumors circulated that certain broadcasters hesitated to air it because its themes of infiltration and surveillance struck uncomfortable chords. Others whispered that intelligence officials disliked how it hinted at government secrecy failing to protect society. Behind the scenes, the production struggled with its limited budget. Effects had to be implied rather than shown. Writers argued over how much truth to reveal in the final scenes. Several edits softened sequences considered too frightening for mainstream audiences. Actors recalled shooting in tight schedules, where tension ran high, both on-screen and off. The film vanished for decades only to resurface through cult screenings and specialty releases. Modern viewers admire its stark tension, its moody silence, and its chilling sense that the real threat is something we never fully see. It leaves behind a final thought. Fear grows fastest when it hides behind the face we trust the most. Number 9. The Damned, 1962. This film began with a troubled reputation. Audiences were unsure what to make of it. Was it science fiction, or was it a grim Cold War parable? Studio executives did not know how to market it. As a result, the movie drifted into obscurity almost immediately after release. The story follows a man who stumbles upon a group of children hidden away by the government. These children radiate dangerous levels of energy, making them both valuable and terrifying. They represent humanity's future, yet they can never touch the outside world. Controversy exploded when critics recognized the film's message. It accused governments of playing with forces beyond control. Some believed it exposed political manipulation through scientific experiments. Others felt it reflected social fears about nuclear fallout affecting future generations. There were whispers that certain distributors wanted the film toned down, warning that audiences might react too strongly to its bleak message. Production chaos nearly destroyed the film before it even premiered. The director clashed with producers over tone. Reshoots created conflicting styles. Actors later admitted they did not understand the final script because scenes kept shifting. When it finally arrived in theaters, audiences were confused by its mix of romance dread and strange scientific horror. Over time, however, the film became a hidden treasure. Restorations revealed its bold ideas and its chilling commentary on innocence caught in the grip of power. Today, it stands as a forgotten warning about experiments that shape futures without consent. The final echo reminds us that children often suffer for choices they never made. Number 8. The Bamboo Saucer, 1968. At release, this film earned a modest reputation as an odd mix of espionage and science fiction. Some critics dismissed it, while others praised its bold attempt to merge Cold War tension with interstellar mystery. The story revolves around rival American and Soviet teams searching for a mysterious aircraft that might not be of this world. When they uncover a saucer hidden in a remote region, both sides realize they must work together or risk triggering conflict far greater than anything on Earth. Controversy grew quickly. Some believed the film hinted too heavily at secret government attempts to acquire alien technology. Others argued that it painted Cold War rivalry as childish when actual international tension was extremely real. There were claims that certain officials disliked its message of forced cooperation, feeling it challenged patriotic narratives. Whispers suggested broadcasters trimmed scenes involving classified programs. Behind the scenes, the crew endured dangerous stunt work and unpredictable weather. Filming in rugged terrain caused accidents and delays. Writers fought to keep the story grounded, while producers pushed for spectacle. Actors described long, exhausting days that blurred into nights as the team struggled to finish the ambitious project. Eventually, the movie slipped into obscurity, overshadowed by louder, more polished sci-fi titles of the era. Yet decades later, fans rediscovered its mix of geopolitical fear and cosmic wonder. Today, it is viewed as a strange yet hopeful relic of a divided world, learning to face the unknown together. Its legacy whispers that sometimes humanity's greatest enemy is not the alien sky, but the walls we build around ourselves. Number 7. Crack in the World, 1965. This disaster sci-fi drama arrived with reasonable enthusiasm. Audiences expected a spectacle, and the film delivered impressive visuals for its time. Yet despite its strong start, it slowly faded from memory. The story follows a team of scientists attempting to tap into Earth's energy reserves by drilling deep below the surface. Their plan goes catastrophically wrong, creating a growing fracture that threatens to split the planet apart. Controversy followed almost immediately. Some viewers claimed the movie criticized scientific ambition too harshly, suggesting that human progress could destroy the world. During a decade filled with technological leaps, this message felt unsettling. Others pointed to political undertones, hinting that global leaders were unprepared for the consequences of their own experiments. There were rumors that some organizations disliked the film for encouraging distrust of large-scale research. Production was a battlefield. Crews worked with complex practical effects involving explosions, miniatures, and hazardous materials. Several sequences had to be reshot when initial attempts failed. Writers clashed over whether to focus on action or scientific drama. The final product blended both but left critics divided. In the years that followed, the film all but vanished, overshadowed by newer disaster epics. It resurfaced slowly through archival releases and cult screenings, where enthusiasts praised its earnest storytelling and powerful imagery of a planet tearing apart. Today, it stands as a reminder that ambition without caution can fracture more than just the ground below. Its echo asks whether humanity can recognize danger before the world itself begins to break. Number 6. Charly. 1968. Though widely acclaimed at the time, this film gradually slipped from conversation. Some remember it only for the award won by its lead actor. Few recall its deep sci-fi roots. Based on a haunting tale of experimental intelligence enhancement, it follows a gentle man with limited mental capacity who undergoes a radical scientific procedure that transforms him into a genius. Yet intelligence brings emotional storms he never expected, and soon he faces the terrifying reality that his newfound brilliance may be temporary. Controversy surrounded its portrayal of scientific experimentation on vulnerable individuals. Advocacy groups questioned the ethics of its fictional procedure. Critics debated whether the film challenged society's treatment of those who think differently or whether it exploited fear. Rumors circulated that certain reviewers softened their criticisms after discussions with studio representatives who wanted to maintain a heroic image of science during a turbulent decade. Production faced intense emotional strain. The lead actor pushed himself to extremes to portray the transformation authentically. The director battled schedule constraints and creative disagreements. Some scenes demanded reshoots when performances became too intense for studio comfort. Yet the film emerged with a raw and powerful heart. As years passed, the film drifted from mainstream memory, overshadowed by flashier sci-fi narratives. Modern audiences who rediscover it are struck by its emotional weight and timeless questions about identity, intelligence, and dignity. The legacy lingers with a painful truth. Knowledge can illuminate the world, yet it can also reveal shadows our hearts are not prepared to face. Number 5. Robinson Crusoe. On Mars, 1964. When it arrived, this film earned a modest but respectful reputation. Audiences admired its creativity, but critics were split. Some called it a daring survival story. Others dismissed it as too slow and unusual even for sci-fi. Yet beneath its simple title lies one of the most atmospheric and emotionally charged visions of early planetary exploration. The story follows an astronaut stranded on the Red Planet, battling isolation, harsh landscapes, and dwindling resources. Every moment feels drenched in fear and wonder as he struggles to rebuild hope on a silent world. Controversy grew because the film portrayed space travel as deeply dangerous rather than triumphant. During the height of real-world space competition, some commentators disliked the suggestion that astronauts could end up terrified and alone beyond Earth. There were murmurs that officials preferred more heroic portrayals. Others whispered that parts of the story hinted at political metaphors involving captivity and forced labor, which some groups found unsettling. Behind the scenes, the filmmakers faced severe limitations. Special effects required inventive techniques using smoke mirrors and forced perspective to create Martian vistas. Actors performed under intense heat from studio lighting that simulated alien sunlight. One actor fainted from exhaustion during a long sequence. Studio executives pressured the team to add more action, while the director insisted on quiet introspection. Over time, the movie faded from mainstream memory, overshadowed by grander Mars stories from later decades. Yet it resurfaced through revival screenings where viewers praised its sincere vision and emotional depth. Today, it stands as a forgotten monument to the idea that survival is not just physical, but spiritual. Its final echo reminds us that loneliness can shape a person as powerfully as any alien landscape. Number 4. From the Earth to the Moon, 1964. This film adaptation of a classic novel entered theaters with moderate excitement. Many expected a thrilling adventure. Others believed the premise felt outdated in a decade where real space travel was unfolding. As a result, the movie struggled to find its audience. Its story follows a group of determined scientists attempting to launch humans to the moon long before such dreams felt realistic. They face ridicule, political resistance, and financial ruin as they cling to an impossible vision. Controversy developed quickly. Some critics argued the movie mocked real scientific efforts by portraying early space travel as chaotic and even reckless. Others believed it challenged government confidence in its own scientific institutions. Anecdotes spread, suggesting that certain reviewers were encouraged to frame the film as harmless fantasy rather than serious speculation. There were also whispers that some broadcasters avoided airing it due to scenes suggesting political incompetence. Production was equally turbulent. The filmmakers struggled to merge whimsical adventure with serious science. Mechanical props malfunctioned constantly. Several major sequences were rewritten on the spot due to technical failures. Crew members later described the set as unpredictable and exhausting, as equipment jammed and schedules slipped. In the years that followed, the movie drifted into obscurity, overshadowed by more modern depictions of lunar dreams. Yet, film historians rediscovered it and praised its earnest portrayal of human ambition. Today, it feels like a time capsule, portraying a world still unsure whether the stars were reachable. Its legacy urges us to remember that every great achievement begins with a dream that seems impossible until the moment it becomes real. Number 3. They Came from Beyond Space, 1967. At release, this film carried a strange reputation. Some admired its bold color style and cosmic ideas. Others mocked its limited effects and unusual pacing. As decades passed, it slipped so deeply into obscurity that many sci-fi fans forgot it ever existed. Yet the story it tells is striking. A meteor shower brings mysterious visitors who begin exerting control over scientists working at an isolated research facility. Minds bend, loyalties dissolve, humanity's independence hangs by a thread. Controversy surrounded its themes. Some critics felt uneasy that the movie suggested intelligent beings could effortlessly dominate human thought. In an era already defined by fear of hidden influence, this message struck sensitive nerves. There were claims that certain broadcasters downplayed its psychological elements because they evoked Cold War anxieties about unseen enemies. Others whispered that the film's allegories were too direct for comfort. Production challenges mounted quickly. Budget limitations forced the crew to improvise. Props were reused from older films. Some scenes were shot in single takes due to time pressure. Actors recalled performing dramatic sequences in makeshift environments that barely held together. Despite these struggles, the cast delivered intense performances that gave the film its unique energy. After its brief run, the movie vanished into bargain bins and forgotten archives. However, modern viewers rediscovered its surreal tone and unsettling imagery. Today, it is praised as a hidden gem that captured the fear of losing control to forces we cannot understand. It stands as a reminder that the greatest battles often take place within the mind long before the world ever notices. Number 2. Marooned, 1969. This ambitious space survival film received serious attention when it premiered, yet it faded surprisingly fast from public awareness. Inspired by real astronaut missions, it tells the story of 3 crew members trapped in orbit when their spacecraft suffers catastrophic failure. As oxygen begins to run out, global agencies scramble to save them. The film unfolds with slow-rising dread and powerful emotional intensity as the world watches the clock tick down. Controversy followed because some believed the story was too close to real-life danger during active space missions. Certain organizations reportedly felt uncomfortable showing astronauts as fragile and helpless. Others claimed the movie criticized international cooperation by portraying rescue efforts as frantic and disorganized. There were hushed rumors of concerns about negative public reactions that might affect national space enthusiasm. Behind the scenes, the production team faced enormous technical challenges. Simulated zero-gravity scenes required complex rigs that malfunctioned regularly. Actors spent hours suspended in harnesses that left them bruised and exhausted. The director demanded realism even when it pushed the cast to their limits. Tensions grew as the budget swelled and deadlines closed in. Though the film won awards, it eventually slipped from cultural memory, overshadowed by real historical events that followed shortly after. When it resurfaced decades later, Film historians praised its gripping realism and emotional depth. Today, it stands as a forgotten reflection of humanity's courage and vulnerability. Its final message echoes quietly. Space does not forgive mistakes, and heroes are often ordinary people facing impossible odds. Number 1. The Time Travelers, 1964. This imaginative, low-budget sci-fi adventure began with mixed reactions. Viewers found its ideas fascinating, yet some critics dismissed its effects as outdated even for the mid-60s. Over time, it slipped quietly into obscurity, buried beneath larger, more polished films. Yet its story remains strikingly prophetic. A team of scientists accidentally open a portal to the distant future where civilization has collapsed. Mutants roam ruined landscapes. Survivors cling to fragile outposts as humanity nears extinction. The scientists soon learn that time itself has become unstable, and their journey may reshape reality. Controversy swirled around its bleak future vision. Some believed the film hinted at environmental collapse caused by human recklessness. Others felt uneasy about its portrayal of humanity trapped in endless cycles of destruction. It was said that certain broadcasters avoided airing it because its message felt too grim during a decade already marked by fear of global catastrophe. Production was equally turbulent. The crew relied on inventive techniques to stretch every resource. Costumes were repurposed from unrelated films. Miniature sets collapsed mid-shoot. Actors sometimes performed amid smoke heat and unstable props. Despite these obstacles, the production pushed forward, creating an atmosphere of tension and unpredictability that ultimately served the story. Though nearly forgotten, the film experienced a quiet revival among sci-fi historians who praised its creativity and existential depth. Today, it feels like a warning about the consequences of ignoring the future. Its final whisper stays with viewers. Time reveals everything, even the truths humanity tries hardest to escape. 15 forgotten visions from the 1960s, each filled with warnings, dreams, and shadows waiting to be rediscovered. These films remind us that imagination is often far ahead of its era. Which of these lost stories spoke to you the most? Tell us in the comments. Like the video, subscribe for more cinematic archaeology, and join us as we continue uncovering the hidden history of sci-fi legends long left in the dark.